Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I will be building this AH-64A model in scale 1 to 35. I'm planning to make some changes to the original design, so stick around to see the end result. The first step of the process is to take out the sprues and get familiar with the instructions, which I'm then going to ignore. The next step is to wash the sprues using water and a mild detergent in order to remove any residual contamination from the manufacturing process. The glue and the paint work better with clean model bits. The next step is to cut the bits, preferably by using a precision cutter. Make sure that your hands and tools are clean, otherwise the previous step was for nothing. As always, use protection and be careful with sharp tools and hazardous materials. Do not cut out all bits at once, as they may get lost or you may get confused about which bit goes where. Sometimes it is necessary to use a blade or a file to remove some excessive plastic from the bits. Using an appropriate model glue is also important, as different glues have different properties and are thus suitable for different materials. Please feel free to keep watching the time lapse of the assembly, but if you get bored, you may skip over to the next step, where I completely deviate from the instructions in order to achieve an incredible result. I decided that I'm going to add magnets to the model so that I can add and remove the armament. I'm using a hand drill for precision to drill 2 holes into the Hydra missile pods. I'm using round magnets with a height and diameter of 2 mm. The Hellfire missile racks are a bit more complicated. I want to have the ability to detach every individual Hellfire missile and I want every individual Hellfire missile to have 2 magnets, which means that the rack is going to need 10 magnets in total. I'm using the same 2mm magnets. I can't really drill the 2mm magnets into the body of the helicopter, which is why I'm using a 2-component epoxy putty. First, I need to mix it well. Once in place, I will embed the magnets into it and let it harden. When installing magnets, it is very important to keep the magnet polarity in mind. If you install the magnets incorrectly, they will repel the bits instead of securing them in place. One advantage of having the same polarity across mounting points of different models is that you may be able to exchange bits between models. I also installed magnets at the edges of the wings so that I can add and remove the Sidewinder missiles. I had to put magnets into the lights because they wouldn't fit under the missiles and would have to be taken off. However, installing 2mm magnets on the lights was a mistake as they're too big, and if I would have to make this model again, I would use 1.5mm magnets, like the ones I used on the Sidewinder missiles themselves. In total, I used 66 magnets on this model. Using a good quality primer is important, so that the primer would stick well to the model and so that the paint would stick well to the primer. The glue that I normally use for models does not work very well on paint, which is why I am now using a different glue for attaching the lenses to the already painted Hellfire missiles. The model came with masking tape, but it is mainly intended for the outside of the cockpit, which means that I'm going to have to be very careful when painting on the inside. Now that the cockpit and its components have been painted, it is time to put them together. Time to prime the model once again. Now that the helicopter has been primed, I'm going to paint the exterior using an airbrush. Time to peel off the masking tape. I'm using a toothpick so that I don't damage the plastic. The model came with decals for the engines of the Hellfire missiles, but I don't think they will be visible, since both the missiles as well as the decals are black. So what I am going to do instead is use a hand drill to drill some engine holes. Time to paint the Sidewinder missiles. In real life, this helicopter has an antenna on its tail, but the model came without one, which is why I'm going to make my own. I usually use beading needles to make antennas, because they're sturdy yet flexible, and they come at a decent length for models. I first need to drill a hole in the tail and then insert the needle smeared in some glue. Once the glue is dry, I can paint the antenna. Time to externally glue some previously painted details. And now it is finally time to add the decals. This is a time-consuming process, especially for the Hellfire missiles, which have 9 decals each, and that is if we don't count the ones that I replaced with actual holes. All the decals have been added. Time to glue the main rotor to the rotor mast. Time to review the final result. So this was all for today. I hope that you have enjoyed the video. Please consider giving it a thumbs up if you did, and if you like this type of content, please support me on Patreon. I post early and exclusive content there. Subscribe to the channel so that you may be informed when a new video becomes available. As always, thank you for watching.